welcome to my channel. Well, this is a response to an open tag where show some knives that you bought because a YouTube or something influenced you, somebody on YouTube influenced you. And I'm going to start from this way and work my way over. And I'm starting with this one, the Cold Steel Recon 1. And we're not going to go over each knife with the specs and the weight and all that. You can find that in other videos and stuff. This is just going to mention why I got this knife and what it has to do with stuff and who influenced me. And the person who influenced me on this one and also influenced me to start this particular channel is Jolly Peanut. He's one of those people that was in my other YouTube channel. He had done stuff in locksport. I think he was a locksmith before. And he started putting up videos about knives. I think at the time him and Peanut, he's got a dog called Peanut, that they were walking out in California and they started being tracked by some coyotes. And he started thinking about the knife that he had wasn't good enough. And he didn't get a Recon 1. He got a Cold Steel, I think it was a holdout 1 and a holdout 2. But he got one of those. And watching his videos influenced me to start buying knives again. Now, before I bought knives, but not really, I just bought a knife for something that I needed. I used it for that, and then I didn't go buy any extra knives. I wasn't out trying to get every version of it. But when I got this one, I had been watching other YouTube videos and stuff, and everybody was into flipper knives. A lot of people were flipping and stuff like that. And this one's, you can flip it, but it really wasn't a fidget knife for me because of the lock. Until I fixed this lock recently, now this is a much better lock. But before that, I would be, I could open it, no problem. But when I went to go to close it, this initial part was no problem, but getting that far down to release it was a pain in the butt. Anyways, I figured out that. So without Jolly Peanut, without his influence, there wouldn't be this channel, So that's one, just the Recon 1. That started getting me into wanting to do flipper knives and stuff, and then I transitioned back into traditionals. But for the beginning of my knife channel, I was into flipper knives. And one of the persons that I watched a lot back then, I haven't watched as much now, is Nick Shabazz. And he was always talking about how great the Delica was, and that, he would use it in size comparisons and everything else. And this is another one where my bias against knives, I've been around since Spyderco started, but it's just that shape just looks so funky to me. It's like, why did you put a hole in there? And what's with this ramp? And I'd never handled one. But after hearing Nick Shabazz talk about it and everything, I got this one. This one's in ZDP 189. At the time, Spydercos with VG10 were going for about like $80 or $90. And this one was like 95 or so. And I figured, I might as well I never had anything in ZDP 189. And this is a great knife. I mean, again, it's not one of those super flippy knives, but man, I carried a lot. It was always with me. I put it through a lot. It holds an edge real well. And again, if it wouldn't have been for Nick Shabazz pushing the Spyderco Delica, I also have an Endura in ZDP 189. My only regret is that I didn't get the Dragonfly in ZDP, what is it, 189? Yeah. Get my numbers mixed up in my head. All right. So that's Nick Shabazz we got right there. All right, this one right here Patty's potato peelers. When he started talking about this knife, at the time they were sold out at Smoky and they didn't have them. He was talking about the first one that was like all black, I think. And I looked at it and went, wow, I love that Warncliffe shape. Oh man, this is just everything that I want. Well, eventually I got, one of those. But Patty's potato peelers was also one of the ones that was switched me over to traditional knives, because I was watching him talk about it and the history of them. And before, like I said, with traditional knives, it's one of those things that I grew up with, so I wasn't all that interested in them. When I started buying knives, I was like, "Ooh, what's this flipper phase?" Because for the longest time in Texas, those were considered, even a assisted, a thumb stud type thing was could be considered like a switchblade. But anyway, this is an excellent, great knife, and he also, is one of the people that started influencing me getting into Rough Riders. So there we go. That's Patty potato peelers, and this is a roper. Now you should probably know that RJ is one of the people that influenced me on to get a roper knife. It's yellow. This one is, I think, the Roper Pecos. And when I found out about this knife, I discovered something is, a lot of people look at that and they say, oh, that's not deep carry and everything. But what it worked out fine is when you're putting it through a belt loop, like I was, like this, like a belt loop goes like this. If you've got a deep carry, then the whole weight of the knife goes back here, on the belt loop. But if you've got a not so deep carry, then there's enough that this thing won't just pivot down. It'll stay with the belt line. It just all depends on the knife and the weight. But this is a great little knife, and I'm probably going to get more ropers. But the only thing that pushed this one out of the way was the Finn Wolf. I started carrying the Finn Wolf in the same place, and now the Finn Wolf has been replaced with this guy, which again is another one of those that's not deep carry. This is the Bear & Son, but it just rides in there perfectly on the belt, and it's very useful. All right, so RJ Knives right there, the ropers. He's almost like a roper rep. I think he even also has a discount code where you can go on there and get like 20% off if you use this code. So go check him out on that. All right, and then we have Thrifty Kniffy. Is this Thrifty Kniffy? I think so. He had started showing these other lockbacks, and I had a white bone one of those, but I needed this particular one. I didn't have an amber bone, so that's because of Thrifty Kniffy. What happens with YouTube is you look at a lot of these videos, and you're watching them, and the person that's doing them is really, passionate. They really like that particular design, and it may not be a design that you hadn't really considered that much before. And in this case, it's the French Tickler, and who influenced me on this are two people, Tobias Gibson and Patty's Potato Peelers. Tobias, if you know, he likes medium to large. I think it's mostly large toothpicks is his favorite. This is more of a medium, and it's a lockback, which is kind of different, So that's two people that influenced me on this one, the Rough Rider French Tickler, RR204. This is a really nice knife. Instead of nickel silver bolsters, you got like brass or something like that. I think it's brass. And nice amber jig bone, fairly easy pull, and it's a lockback. So You got that going for you. All right, this one is also Tobias. And this guy, Gibson, a fish knife. So this one is an old Imperial, made in USA fish knife. Nice long, see, this is like a long toothpick type of knife. Pretty useful. As a matter of fact, I've got a GEC number 12 that I carry a lot, and it's like a medium toothpick, and it's really gotten me to appreciate the toothpick pattern. You know, just how this ergonomically fits the hand, and the blade, you know, is really a nice design. So there you go. Basically, anybody on YouTube that creates content and I watch it, if it's a knife that I looked at and had never, you know, really seen before or anything like that, and they talk about how great it is, you know, depending on the person, you know, if it's somebody you know and trust their reviews, you might go to other people, and if you see like 2 or 3 people that you know that you trust their opinions, say they like these knives, see, then this one, it's no problem with me on the thing not being centered. Then also, this is a way to do a thumb stud. See, you have access to it. You have a surface area that you can get. Just thinking about that other tiny little thumb stud that was up against the thing, and all it does is cause you pain when you try to use it. But this one doesn't, so there you go. And that other thumb stud on the Rough Rider assisted opening is like this. Similar to the way that it's put in. It looks like you have a piece of metal that was peened in, you know, so one side was, something was holding it over here, and then this was just, you know, like a tapered point that just swedges it out. So on the other one, I don't know why we're getting off on this tangent on the other knife. To remove that, it's not a matter of unscrewing it. You would have to take like a punch or something, support the blade, take a punch and punch it out. And all I'm just doing is just not using it. But yeah, it's a great tag. I think RJ started this tag, and it's an open tag. So really, if you can think of any, if you're a content creator and you can think of any other content creators that influenced you to buy another knife. Oh, I forgot one more. I've got to include one more. Yes, the Angry Watermelon. Who does everybody associate that with? Big Red. Pretty much. Pissed Off Pickle, War Pickle, Angry Watermelon. Yeah, it's become a thing. Now, you'll play around with it so much when you first get it that the pivot screw will loosen out. I thought I had destroyed mine. I thought it had basically come apart. But yeah, all you got to do is Loctite that. You know, Loctite the pivot screw and you'll be fine. Yeah, this is another one. You know, I'd seen it before and I'm like, eh. When they came out with, I think it was the Bullfrog, the medium-sized one. I liked the coloration, you know, on it and everything, but I thought, eh. But that's when I realized little knives, especially this assisted opening too. This is an offensive weapon in England. You could do some serious time for having such a dangerous thing as this grumpy gherkin, you know, I mean, yeah, so War Pickle. So there you go. Sorry to go on and on and on. I could go on and on, you know, find different knives that were influenced, but I think this is enough. You get an idea. So if you're a content creator and anybody's influenced you to buy a particular knife or whatever, throw it up there. Let us see. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.